But today I'd like to unpack arguably the most misunderstood of all the letters in LGBTQ. That would be the T, transgenderism. I want to unpack what it is, as well as a bit of the science behind why some people find themselves experiencing it. So welcome to Table Talk, where each week I put Christian theology and spirituality in conversation with the broader culture to help you become a more thoughtful, insightful, and just a downright wonderful human being. So my name is Brett Silford, pastor at The Table, a church in Sac City, Texas. So let's go ahead and jump into our topic. All right, so what does it mean to be transgender? Well, it's simply a state where a person's birth sex does not correspond to a person's psychological sense of gender identity. So as you can imagine, this experience can be incredibly disorienting and for most incredibly difficult, which is what the term gender dysphoria means. It's the psychological stress and suffering that comes from this split between how I am outwardly, how others perceive me, and my own sense of who I am inwardly. Now, to some folks, this may sound like a total impossibility. But not only do we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of examples of people who experience this, but even noted evangelical scholars like Mark A. Yarhouse, who's a professor of Christian thought in mental health practice at Regent University, in his book Gender Dysphoria, he unpacks that this is definitely a thing. People are not making this up. People are not being dramatic or trying to take down the culture with their agenda. They simply have this experience, and it's something that they, their families, have to grapple with. Okay, so how and why does this happen? Well, similarly to my last video on the science of whether or not a person is born gay, there's still a lot that scientists don't know about this. However, some recent studies have begun to shed light on what might be going on. So, for example, one thing we do know is that in utero, hormones for genital development in fetuses happens at a particular point. And then, though there's a delay, as I recall, I think it's 24 to 48 hours later, we have the hormones that impact a baby's developing brain and sense of gender identity happening. In other words, what this sort of leading theory names is that it could be something as straightforward as the hormones in a mother's body are leading a baby to develop one way, right? Leading to genital development in one direction. But then at that unique inflection point, in just a small number of cases, there is a shift in the mother's hormones, which would cause psychological development in the other direction, with the end result that someone outwardly looks, say, male, but internally, in their own experience, they're like, this is really hard to explain, but I feel female. Or, of course, vice versa. Now, you might say, well, I'm just not sure about this. Doesn't God say male and female, he created them? Therefore God would never do this. Well, I just think that response is a case where just because we really want something to be one way, we're sort of ignoring the reality on the ground of real people in real lives. I mean, in addition to folks who are transgender, we know other people are born, for example, intersex, meaning they have some combination of male and female genitalia. Again, that's not just my opinion, that's fact, that's just science. And so I think how we have to understand, say, the book of Genesis is as a theological document talking about capital T truth in the broader sense of who we are in relationship to God, the world, other people, but not a scientific explanation of the ins and outs of sexual development across human populations. Obviously, that's beyond the scope of literature happening 4,000 years ago. And honestly, we've been down this road with the early chapters of Genesis with the whole creation evolution debate, and we saw how that's gone for us. Pitting Christian faith or theology against science it's just not a wise move. Okay, so instead of feeling that somehow the existence of transgender folks is an attack on morality or an attack on the Bible and faith, I think we all need to take a deep breath and realize that sometimes our mental map of the world needs an upgrade. And also, we've got to be really careful of rushing to judgment before you've, actually talked to someone who is transgender. Ask them about their experience. It would probably be worth a conversation, because as Christians, and especially as pastors, as leaders, it's super important that we deal with the world as it actually is and people as they actually are, not as we would wish them to be. So all that to say, educate yourself, make a friend, ask questions, and be careful that you aren't demonizing and ostracizing the very people that Jesus would love and defend. Well, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, comment below, and to ensure you don't miss any future episodes, you can go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel or my podcast, pretty much wherever podcasts are offered, by searching Brett Tilford Table Talk. Grace and peace.